The world you woke up to in 2026 is suffering from a terminal illness, the obsessive need to be seen. We live in an age where privacy is treated like a crime, and exposure has become the only currency that matters. People feel that if they don't post what they ate, what they bought, or what they plan to do, those things somehow never happened. They trade the gold of their lives for scraps of attention from strangers who deep down don't truly care about their success. But you, who seek to become unrecognizable and sovereign, must understand this. Real strength does not shout, it whispers. There is a mystical and strategic power that accumulates when you choose to close the curtains of your existence to the public eye. Absolute discretion is not about hiding out of fear, but about protecting yourself through intelligence. Getting your life in order for good in 2026 requires you to become a ghost to the system and a giant to yourself. Every detail of your life that you reveal becomes a weapon you hand to a potential enemy or unnecessary fuel for someone else's envy. Respect is not born from transparency, but from mystery. When no one knows what you are planning, no one can interfere with your process. Your private life must be your sanctuary, a place where only what is sacred is allowed in, and where your greatest victories are celebrated in the silence of your own awareness. The first great law of private sovereignty is ending the addiction to validation. Most people design their lives from the outside in. They choose trips that will generate the best photos, relationships that look stable on social media, and possessions that provoke comments and reactions. They are prisoners of other people's eyes. On the first day of 2026, your revolution begins when you decide that the only applause that matters is your own. If you need to tell someone you're going to the gym just to feel that the workout was worthwhile, you are still a child seeking approval. A person of destiny trains unseen, studies in silence, and builds empires without noise. When you remove the need for validation, you reclaim an enormous amount of vital energy that was once wasted maintaining an image. Staying quiet about your plans gives you the freedom to fail without witnesses and to succeed without the pressure of judgment. In a world where people turn themselves into brands, you must choose to become a fortress. Your identity should not be something others consume, but something you cultivate carefully and in private. The second law is about shielding your future plans. There is a cruel biological trap at play. When you tell someone about a goal, your brain releases dopamine as if the task were already completed. The pleasure of talking replaces the drive to execute. That is why so many people announce their New Year's resolutions and never follow through. On the 1st of January 2026, make a pact of silence around your ambitions. Don't announce where you plan to move, which business you want to start, or what program you're about to begin. Let the world feel the shift created by your success only after it has already happened. Silence preserves the internal pressure you need to break free from mediocrity. Speaking about the future also attracts the attention of those who are stagnant and resent movement in others. Envy is a quiet force that feeds on information. By staying discreet, you become invisible to those who would sabotage you. Secrecy is your greatest competitive advantage. Let them underestimate you. Let them believe you stopped, while in reality, you are accelerating on a track they cannot see. Before we move on to the third law, which deals with protecting your invisible wealth and managing your financial privacy, I want to invite you into a different reality. If this call toward depth and silence feels like exactly what your soul has been searching for this year, then you are in the right place. This channel is not for the masses chasing cheap entertainment, but for those who seek sovereignty. Subscribe now and turn on notifications to ensure you are not pulled back into the noise of the world. Leave a like to seal your commitment to your own privacy. This simple act signals that you value discretion and quiet strength. Now prepare yourself, because we are entering the most strategic territory: how to hide your assets and your happiness so no one can take them from you. The third law of sovereignty lies in keeping your wealth invisible and managing prosperity in silence. On the first day of 2026, understand this clearly. The one who flaunts is the one who becomes a target. We live in an era of increasing surveillance, aggressive oversight, and a simmering social resentment that seeks to punish those who stand out. When you display what you own, you are not just attracting admiration, you are inviting attention from those looking for a way to extract something from you. True financial freedom has nothing to do with designer clothes or the car you drive to impress neighbors you don't even like. Real freedom is the ability to say no and to live on your own terms. Invisible wealth works for you without needing an audience. Adopt the aesthetic of restraint. While the masses go into debt trying to look rich, you should focus on actually being rich, maintaining a simple exterior that deflects unwanted attention. Having money that no one knows about is one of the greatest forms of psychological power. It gives you a strategic edge in any negotiation because no one can measure your reserves or your endurance. In 2026, being financially low profile is the new luxury. Truly fixing your life means stopping the habit of feeding other people's egos with your prosperity and starting to feed your own peace with security. Money prefers silence, and your bank balance should be the best-kept secret of your life. The fourth law focuses on protecting emotional bonds and fortifying relationships. Notice how modern couples treat their connections like reality shows. They broadcast every argument, every reconciliation, and every declaration of love, seeking validation from hundreds of spectators who are often just waiting for the first sign of collapse so they can feel less alone in their own dissatisfaction. To remain sovereign and unrecognizable in 2026, you must remove your relationship from the stage. What happens behind closed doors should stay there. When you overexpose your partner, you invite the world to interfere in your intimacy. The presence of outside observers drains authenticity from the bond. A love that needs public proof is already dying internally. Reserve your most meaningful moments for those who truly matter. Private happiness is far more resilient than performative happiness. If you love someone, protect them from exposure. Mystery surrounding your romantic life naturally generates respect. People sense that you possess something so valuable you refuse to cheapen it for likes. On the first day of the year, decide that your emotional life will stop being content for others and return to being nourishment for your soul. The fifth law addresses your digital trail and the strategy of becoming a ghost. In 2026, your data is the oil of the new era, and digital privacy is your strongest line of defense. Most people scatter breadcrumbs everywhere they go, allowing algorithms and strangers to map their habits, fears, and routines. To be sovereign, you must learn to control your online footprint. Remove unnecessary information from your social profiles. Do not feel obligated to exist on every platform if it does not serve your professional or intellectual growth. If you are not the product, you don't need to sit on the shelf. Use the internet as a tool for extracting value, not as a stage for ego display. Absolute discretion requires you to pause before hitting publish. Ask yourself whether this gives you power or makes you more exposed. If it creates vulnerability, stay silent. The digitally sovereign individual consumes what is useful, produces what is necessary, and keeps the core of their life inaccessible to trackers. By reducing the noise around who you are online, you amplify the impact of your presence in the real world. The sixth law involves managing your inner circle and understanding the geometry of trust. You cannot be discreet with the world if you are an open book to the wrong people. Your social circle should be small, tested, and carefully filtered. In 2026, betrayal and gossip are the tools of the mediocre, used in attempts to bring down those who rise higher. Truly fixing your life means recognizing that not everyone who smiles at you is on your side. Many are simply gathering information to use against you later or to feed their own envy. Be economical with your secrets, even with long-term friends. Absolute trust is a privilege that must be earned through years of loyalty, proven under pressure. Your emotional world must be a vault for which only you hold the access code. In a year that promises chaos and constant noise, your quiet stability will be your greatest leadership asset. The secret of authority is never allowing an opponent to know whether you are bleeding or celebrating. The 13th law addresses the protection of happiness and the end of displaying affection as spectacle. There is an old saying that happiness prefers silence, and in 2026, this has never been more true. There is a modern impulse to prove to the world that you are loved, that you have friends, and that your family is perfect. Yet every time you expose a genuine, intimate moment for the approval of strangers, you strip that moment of its sacredness. Discretion in happiness is what prevents other people's envy from contaminating your relationships. Do not feel compelled to post the gift you received, the romantic dinner, or your child's achievement. These moments belong to you and those closest to you, not to an algorithm. When you protect your joy, it becomes heavier, more real, and far more enduring. Respect arises from the perception that you are so self-sufficient you do not need the world to witness your happiness for it to be real. Truly fixing your life means understanding that the light in your eyes is meant for those who share the table with you, not for those scrolling past with indifference. We now reach the climax of this journey into discretion. If you integrate these 13 laws, you will not merely be respected, you will be feared by those with hidden intentions and admired by those who pursue excellence. Silence is the womb in which great destinies are formed. By closing the doors of your life to the public, you open the doors of your mind to greatness. You stop being a piece in other people's games and become the board itself. In 2026, the world will see your results, but it will never know your secret. Are you ready to be the most compelling and powerful figure in the room precisely because you explain yourself the least? Sovereignty is the reward for those who understand that real power does not require spotlights. It carries its own inner light. This is the moment of final decision. If you have come this far, you already understand that discretion is the armor of the wise and the weapon of the sovereign. If you are ready to apply this code of conduct and transform 2026 into a year of silent victories and monumental achievements, it is time to show your resolve. Subscribe to this channel if you have decided that your days of being an open book for emotionally illiterate readers are over. Leave a like to signal that you now value your own privacy above cheap applause. And most importantly, leave your closing comment with the phrase, "My silence is my empire." By writing this, you seal your commitment to absolute discretion. Prepare yourself, because the next and final section will consecrate your new identity, taking the last step toward becoming truly unrecognizable and unreachable. The consecration of your new identity in 2026 depends on a fundamental transition. You must stop reacting to the world and become an architect of silence. Understand that absolute discretion is not an act of isolation, but an act of supreme filtering. Throughout this journey, we explored how to protect your wealth, your relationships, and your plans. But the ultimate objective is to protect your peace. Truly fixing your life requires accepting that most people lack the capacity to understand your depth and therefore do not deserve access to it. On the 1st of January 2026, look toward your future and see a path where only your results are visible, while your reasons, your struggles, and your strategies remain hidden beneath the veil of your sovereignty. The strength you accumulate when you stop leaking energy through unnecessary speech and hollow display is what will make you truly unrecognizable. You will not be just another person who succeeded. You will be the one the world watches with a mix of respect and curiosity, trying to decipher the code that makes you so unshakable. Mystery is the magnetism of kings. At this very moment, while the world shouts its New Year's resolutions to anyone who will listen, you are here absorbing the wisdom of silence. That is your first major victory of 2026. From tomorrow on, people will sense something different about you. They will notice that you are less accessible, yet more present, less noisy, yet far more powerful. They will try to pull you back onto the stage of mediocrity, asking invasive questions and testing your new boundaries. Keep your bronze face. Remember that every time you resist the urge to announce an advantage or post an achievement, you are depositing power into your account of personal sovereignty. Your empire will not be built with bricks of likes and comments, but with the solid stone of self-sufficiency. 2026 is the year you become the owner of your secrets, and as a result, the owner of your destiny. Your private life is the laboratory where your greatness is forged. Do not allow the noise of the masses to contaminate the purity of your work. We have reached the end of this monumental series of training for your new self. If you followed each of these scripts, you now possess the complete map to sovereignty, unbreakable mentality, strategic unpredictability, authoritative body language, and absolute discretion. What remains now is relentless execution. Do not let this knowledge dissolve into the sea of information you consume every day. Turn these words into your new skin. The world is about to meet a version of you it cannot control, label, or predict. That is the highest definition of freedom. Go now and begin your year with the dignity of someone who has nothing to prove, because they know exactly who they are and where they are going. The summit is not a place you reach to be seen, but a place you reach to gain the clearest view. If this final guide to the sovereignty of private life was the reality check you needed to fortify your 2026, place your definitive seal of commitment. Subscribe to this channel if you have chosen a journey toward greatness built on silence and excellence. Leave a like to show that discretion is now your code of honor. And to close this cycle with the authority of a sovereign, leave your final comment with the phrase that will guide you from this point forward. My discretion is my absolute power. By doing so, you declare that your life now answers to a single judge and master, yourself. The spectacle is over. Your silent reign begins now. Prepare to reap the rewards of a life that is protected, respected, and unreachable. The year 2026 is yours, all the way to the top.